I remember telling her, if you don't like your job, maybe you should consider another profession.
We'll let her know. Hey beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting subscribe and turning on those notifications. So today I am joined by two fabulous women, amazing, spectacular, influential role models in my life. So I want to share my love for them with you all. So stay tuned. So we're just here talking about motherhood today. You guys who wants to introduce themselves first?
I'm Vicky, Levester's mother.
And who's Levester?
Your husband.
And I'm Karma. I'm Levester's mother-in-law.
So this video is all about Levester, I guess. When you first found out you were going to become a mother, how did you feel?
Very shocked. I was very shocked. I remember receiving the news from the nurse at the doctor's office and actually stumbling backwards into my chair because I was that shocked.
Like in the movies?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And I was a little apprehensive because I wasn't sure what kind of mother I was going to be, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't think I was prepared. But once the child comes, you have everything you need.
I made it easy.
And true, she was a good child and made it easy.
Who made you a mom, and how did you feel?
My first child, Christine, my child, a girl. The rest of us came along a couple years later. When the doctor had first told me I was pregnant, I was kind of surprised and shocked by being first mom. Just got out of high school, was trying to work and trying to get my foot out into the workforce. Then I came up pregnant. Then my first thought was to try to do everything I can to raise this child the best way I can.
Okay, so let's talk about your pregnancy and prenatal care. That's also a topic that I think is really important, especially for brown mothers. In recent news, we've been hearing more about how brown moms aren't receiving the prenatal care and postnatal care that they deserve and require. So what was your pregnancy like, and I guess do you feel that you received adequate care and support? From like medical professionals. That's my first.
Once I got used to the idea that it was actually going to happen, I was very happy and excited about it. And I was all about everything baby. Probably trying to go to the doctor more than I was supposed to, just so I could, because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted it to be the center of everybody's conversation. And I went to all of my doctor's visits and probably tried to schedule some that didn't need to be done. I was excited for ultrasounds, trying to have more ultrasounds than I was supposed to have. I got all the care I needed. Always made sure I had my prenatal vitamins. I did get proper and adequate care because once I got used to the idea that I was going to be a mother, I was super excited about it, and I wanted everyone to be as excited as I was.
What about like in the actual delivery room and then in the recovery room? Do you feel like you received proper pain medication? Were you monitored properly? How were your nurses? What was their bedside manner like? So I remember you telling me a story about a nurse that had no business in the medical profession.
Yeah, that is true. I'm kind of diva-ish.
Kind of
diva-ish. And I wanted the nurses to come when I called them. But I don't think I called unnecessarily. I didn't ask for things that I didn't need. But I was in a lot of pain because I had a C-section. And eventually I did get connected to a intravenous medication that I was able to control myself. But I did have a nurse that came in one night. She was unhappy, I guess, for some reason. I don't know. But she was very rude and very mean to me. And I remember telling her, if you don't like your job, maybe you should consider another profession.
We'll let her know.
And I didn't have any more trouble with it.
What about you? Do you feel like you got the proper care, and then in the delivery room and recovery, do you feel like you got what you need?
Yeah, I got what I need because both of mine is natural, except for KJ. I did. Both of them was natural.
No pain medication at all?
Oh, girl. Except for KJ. KJ, I did epidural with him. Mm-hmm. And KJ, I didn't breastfeed. The other two, I did breastfeed.
Oh, I love that segue. I love talking about breastfeeding. So I want all mamas, especially brown mamas, to breastfeed and know that they can, and really dispel a lot of the myths. So I will get into that question. Why do you think that why do you think it's perceived that a lot of brown moms, and really specifically black moms, why do you think they don't breastfeed?
Because they want the quick, fast life. Mm. You have to prepare the bottle. Like, see, with KJ, I was trying to go back to work and put him in daycare. But with my first two, I stayed home. Mm-hmm. I was a stay-home mom, so I had more time to put into it. They could take their time and with the breastfeeding and stuff. But I wanted to breastfeed because they say it was more healthier than the regular bottle, ready to go, and they're ready to go stuff. So,
because I'm a stay-at-home mom and I nurse Poppy, and I don't know what it would be like to still nurse and go to work. That would be a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
So what about you? Why do you think black moms don't breastfeed? We do. Why do you think it's perceived that we don't?
I think it's for, a variety of reasons that they don't, or perceive that they don't. One, sometimes it's a time factor. I think people have all their own individual reasons for not nursing. With you, I nursed until you were about 6 months old. With your brother, I didn't nurse him except for like the first 2.5 months because he had all kinds of food allergies. And I couldn't eat anything. He had a milk, soy, and protein intolerance, and I was starving all the time. I feel like I was malnourished, which meant he probably was too.
And it's before the vegan popularity and all that healthy eating.
And it didn't work for us. It just didn't. So there are a variety of reasons that women don't choose to breastfeed. Sometimes, though, I think it's because they just don't know. And then I also think in a lot of cases it's just a misconception. They are breastfeeding and people just think that they are not.
Because I breastfeed Poppy everywhere, and I've had several moms and a lot of black moms actually who have come up to me and they're like, "Do your thing, girl," and they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember that used to be me. I would just sit down and feed my baby everywhere." So we definitely do breastfeed.
And there's a cost factor too sometimes. I think for people it doesn't cost anything to breastfeed except for whatever it costs you to feed yourself. And that's it.
That's the biggest reason, because when Poppy was born, we were transitioning from military life to civilian life, and we had a lot of unknowns in our future. So I'm like, well, let me help out my family in the best way I know how. And by nursing, we wouldn't have to spend money on formula and bottles and all that kind of stuff. Because Poppy didn't even take a bottle until he was, I think it was the day before he turned 5 months. So that was one way that I wanted to contribute to my family, right? So still talking about breastfeeding. When you were breastfeeding, did you breastfeed anywhere, everywhere? And was it uncovered? Were you covered? What was your breastfeeding in public experience like, Miss Vicky?
Pretty much everywhere, but I did it covered with a cover because I didn't feel comfortable at that time. That stage of age, feel comfortable. I did mine cover up, or I went to the restroom or ladies' room to breastfeed.
How about you?
That was a completely different time. And it was not really that widely accepted for mothers to breastfeed uncovered. So I did a lot of pumping. I nursed at home, and in public, I used a bottle, or I would go to the bathroom, which felt really disgusting to me to be feeding my child in the bathroom. Nobody else eats in the bathroom. But it wasn't that widely accepted, so that's what I did.
Do you have, for me, and other mothers, new mothers that may be watching?
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Taking care of your family, your household. Always make time for your husband. Put your baby to sleep at a certain time. And then once your baby's asleep, that's your time in between. Get yourself together, you can read a book, watch TV, get your quiet time, have your quiet time. But still have your other time for you and your husband to connect, to be close and stuff.
Yeah, something different you want to add on to that? Because that was a word right there.
Just follow your instincts. Instinctually, you will more often than not be correct. Just follow your instincts. If it feels like it's the right thing to do it. Probably is.
And how was it transitioning from couple life, married life with no baby to having a baby? What is probably the biggest change that occurred?
Well, for me, it meant I wasn't going anywhere. But I would go out with girlfriends. But once I had a baby, I didn't go much of anywhere. But that was fine with me because after I had a baby, I didn't want to go anywhere. I wanted to be home with my baby and with my husband, and I did not want to leave my child with anyone. And I didn't even go back to work when I was scheduled to go back to work because I didn't want to leave my little bitty defenseless child I didn't want my child to be with anyone other than me. So I took an extra month off work without pay so I could stay home with my child.
And how was that, going back to work? How did you feel when you left your baby, your defenseless, helpless child?
Awful. I called the babysitter probably 3 or 4 times a day. She probably wanted to say, ugh, goodness, would you find somebody else to watch this child so she can leave me alone? For a first-time mom, I think it is hard to leave your baby with someone.
Yeah, do what you gotta do, though.
Yeah.
What about you? What was the biggest transition from no baby to baby?
Getting used to a little person, taking care of that little person. Then I didn't go back to work till Sylvester was 3. Because at that time I didn't. Well, I still don't. I don't trust daycares because anything can happen at a daycare. But by KJ being older now, he could tell me, talk to me, and tell me what's going on.
That makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
Leaving your child with someone that you trust. Now, the person that babysat Jazz for me was an old friend of my mom's who babysat us when we were children. So I trusted her. I left her in the care of someone that I trusted. Although I had to reevaluate that as well. But
be the ones closest to you.
Yeah. That's why my mother-in-law, ended up watching both of you until you were school age. That was safe. Then I felt safe doing that.
Yeah. Your mother-in-law, my grandma.
Right.
Speaking of grandmotherhood, what was it like going from a mom to a grandma? Because I heard that the grandmas and the grandparents, they like the grandbabies and love the grandbabies more than the babies that they birthed. So what was that like going from motherhood to grandmotherhood?
I don't think it's a difference. Because you love your child, you raise your child up to be what you want them to be. Love that baby just as like it was your own.
Well, for me, of course I love you with all
disclaimer
with all of my being. But that little baby, there are no words. I can't even describe.
And she is full of words, y'all. Full of words.
There are no words for me to describe how I feel about the babies, about the grandchildren. I love my daughter. That's indescribable as well. But I don't know how to describe how I feel about the babies, about the grandbabies. It's on a whole nother level. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Wow, she's speechless.
I am.
Well, we might have to just wrap it up there because I'm stunned myself that she has no words. Oh man, so yeah, I guess guys, that kind of wraps it up. Thanks for watching.
Say thanks for watching.